Okay, you're good.
Hi, welcome to the right side, Livingston County Republican Party's weekly podcast, brand new weekly podcast. We had our test run last week just to make sure the system worked, but this is our inaugural session. So welcome, and we're glad to have you. Yep, that was our. Can they see that or
No.
only? No, you guys can't see that. Only I can see it. He's changing things around. There we are. So just wanted to kind of let you know we're going to be doing this every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. We're going to have various guests, and they're going to talk about whatever is going on, the issues. The format may change as we go. We're kind of winging this and figuring out as we go. So you might see it this way, you might see it that way. But for right now, that's what we're going to do it. The purpose of this, and I will publicly give credit for the idea of this podcast to Secretary Angela Yarber.
Yes.
And yes, wonderful idea. And she kind of indicated that it was be a good way to get out LCRP information. So I thought, well, might as well also use it for an avenue for elected officials and those in the know to talk about what's going on or kind of a response to what's going on. I mean, we watch what's going on in the newspaper or on Facebook about what happened at the Howell Theater, and that's blown way out of proportion as usual. So this will be an opportunity for that kind of thing to get explained, and you'll get the real story, unedited and uncensored. So we're making a lot of changes in the LCRP, and we're going to talk about some of those. But right now, we're going to talk, I guess the first thing, we're going to talk about the breaking news. Did you see that now all three Michigan Republican Party chairs have now announced who their vice chair is?
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Now we actually know who we're thinking about, who we're contemplating about.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. So we have Senator Runstead has chosen Bernadette Smith. She's a very active grassroots, and she was minority vice chair for a while, I think, in the party.
I think so.
She's a very nice lady out of the west side of the state. Then we have Joe Sella, who has chosen Livingston County's Jessica Bearfield as his running mate. So we all know Jessica here in the county. And then the big news today was Alfonso Wallace was designated as Michon Maddox's running mate. So we sort of have to hear about him yet. I don't know much about him, so I'll be looking forward to.
I'd never even heard his name.
I never have either, but you know, Michon's been around, so she's got her reasons, and we'll get to hear what those are. Tomorrow. We have the at the American Legion Post 141 in the downstairs room. We have rented that room to hold a now kind of an informational session for any Livingston County Republican Party delegate that's been elected to go to the state convention, and the alternates.
Yeah.
They're invited to come to the Legion tomorrow. We're going to have Brandon Bearfield is going to talk about procedure, what to expect, especially for those who've never been there. But even those who have been there before can help in this discussion. They can share their stories, either the horror stories or the good ones, whichever, the shortcuts, different things. So we'll have that discussion first, and then we're going to talk about kind of not the chairs themselves, but we're going to talk about qualities in leadership and kind of what we ought to be looking for, and not recommending anybody, not saying any names, but basically just kind of what is everybody looking for in a leader, just to kind of get some questions that people can ask. And then that's going to ramp up for the end of the day evening, where we're going to have Michon Maddox, Senator Runstead, and Joe Sella come to Livingston County and meet with our delegates, meet with our alternates, and you can ask them the questions that we kind of think about in the thing. So you're going to be voting for these people. I told them all this was not an open meeting for anybody to come. This is my words to them was, this is fishing where the bass are, because everybody there is going to be qualified to vote. So it's a good move for them, and it's a good move for us. So that is the news on the MRP. We're all looking forward to convention, and we're all looking forward to having it done. We're all looking forward to uniting behind a leader, and then these texts will stop.
Hey, Deb.
What?
I think it's time to pay some bills.
Time to pay some bills.
Yep. So I think what we'll do is we'll have a commercial, little known thing. We're going to be doing a thing where we're going to be helping out local businesses and groups by doing commercials. We ask for a nominal fee, which Deb's going to invent tonight, and we will you know, no bones about it. You know, we're just trying to pay for the cost of the podcast.
That's right.
Pretty much it.
Be $25 for 30 seconds. You can send us a video, or you can send us a picture and a script, and we'll read it, whichever you'd like. But that'll cover the cost of our podcast. We're cheap, and we don't like to spend money. So,
all right.
All right. You going to commercial?
Going to commercial.
All right. Thanks.
All right, thanks.
And we are back, and today's inaugural guest, I'm happy to welcome Senator Lana Theis, she's in her second term now. You've got 2 years left, this year and next year?
Correct.
Okay. And
we're much better than last year. Yeah.
So much.
Last couple of years were bad.
So Lana, Senator Theis has had quite a bit of stuff going on between the you know, now with this, we got the Republican House, and she's in the still unfortunate Democrat Senate, and there's been some interesting activities coming out of the legislature or referring to the legislature. So I've asked her to come on and kind of explain some of the stuff that's going on. But the topic that caught my eye was the mission. What MHSAA? What does that stand for? Boy. It's something. It's high school. That's it. Michigan High School Athletic Association.
Correct.
All right. I drew a blank. We both did. Okay. So they have made a statement. I believe they've made a statement saying that President Trump can take his executive order about splitting up boys and girls in teams and shove it somewhere. So tell us about that. What is now that we know what the word stands for, what is MHSAA and how does it operate?
So Michigan High School Athletic Association. So they operate within Michigan, and they are kind of the only player in this space. So when you have a kid that's in sports, that's in middle school or high school, you're going to rely on them. If your kid goes to a championship game, if it's playing with other teams, then they're the ones that are behind it and coordinating it. And one of the requirements is that the school that's working with them has to agree to the rules that they set up.
Okay.
And it makes sense, right? If you're playing lacrosse, you want every lacrosse team to understand what the rules are and agree on them in advance. And so that part makes sense, except in 2013, they decided that they were going to accept transgender athletes on a waiver basis, but that they were going to do this. And so they've been doing it for a very long time. This is not new, but the story behind it is actually significant. So as background, they're a nonprofit. They don't take any funds from the state. They don't take any funds from the feds. So the threat of withholding funds doesn't hit them directly. But the schools have to contract and have to agree to those rules. So I have some questions. I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV. This is not legal advice, but these are the questions, right? If a school contracts with an organization that violates that executive order, then are there federal funds potentially at risk? And I believe there's a high chance that they are. It's interesting to note, back in the late 90s and then going into the early 2000s, there was a lawsuit against MHSAA for discriminating against girls, violating their Title IX rights. So what MHSAA was doing was putting the girls' sports in a disfavored season and a disfavored time. So the boys' sports were prioritized, and it was proven that that's what they were doing. And so they kept suing and appealing and appealing. And finally, it got up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court refused to hear it. So it landed with, yes, you violated these girls' Title IX rights. You violated the Equal Protection Clause. You are subject to Title IX, is what this court case found. They're subject to Title IX. They're subject to the Equal Protection Amendment. So I believe they're at risk at this point if they don't comply with President Trump's order, which said, and I know, I'm glad you guys are sitting because it's so controversial. Boys shouldn't play in girls' sports. And what President Trump said was that boys can't play in girls' sports, and then the penalty is withholding federal funds. And so the collegiate version of this complied right away. Sure. All right, no more boys and girls sports. We understand it has to be common throughout the country. We're going to go ahead and comply. MHSAA was interviewed by Bridge Magazine, and they specifically said, no, we're going to keep it the way it is. Now, they said that they're concerned about the Elliott Larson Act in Michigan, and that they're afraid of violating that. I don't think they're violating that if they comply with the executive order at the federal level, and I think the federal level wins. No. But again, I'm not an attorney, so we'll see.
What about the bill that's getting introduced? I think.
Wait, we're not done on this one yet. So hold on.
Well, but it pertains to this.
Oh, okay. If it pertains to that,
yeah. So there's a bill that's out there to say, okay, fine, you're going to participate in girls' sports, but when we classify you or we score you, it's going to be against the biological males. Have you heard of that?
I have not heard that.
Okay.
Bill. It's probably a House bill. I introduced a bill
in
the Senate back in 2021 that said no boys and girls sports, and reached out to MHSAA to get their support on it, and they flat out refused. They said there's no way. They were not only not supportive, they were oppositional. Now I don't know if they formally said that, but that is what they told me.
Oh, lovely. So what? I guess so. If the federal funds, if there's no federal funds, that really weakens the Trump's ability to withhold anything from them. But you're saying that they get their approval from the schools. So maybe if they do something, that the schools. But
1,500 schools. They're the only organization in the state that does what they do. 1,500 schools at risk of their federal funding being withheld for working with MHSAA. Well, I guess unless they change their rules. That's significant.
Yeah. That is an incentive for competition, if I ever heard it.
I agree.
Anybody out there listening that wants to run ads, and now is the time. So I mean, do parents or schools have any influence over this? I mean, do they have any recourse or?
So it's the schools that make the decisions to contract. School boards exist. Parents can interact with the school boards. So I recommend that the parents call and email their school boards. I recommend that they call and email MHSAA. So it's very conveniently MHSAA.com.
Okay.
Yeah. And so go ahead and let them know what you think. Let them know this issue is an 80-20 issue. Honestly, it's even among the left, they understand that the girls are at risk. And some of our girls have experienced permanent brain injury from playing against boys.
Sure.
They lose their college scholarship placements, but worse is when a girl is in a changing room and there's a boy standing in front of her watching her, and she had no idea was going to be there. That's what happened to Riley Gaines.
Yeah.
And
horrible story during the Lincoln Day.
They didn't forewarn these girls. And this, can you imagine the trauma? Like, you're a 15-year-old girl. Imagine the trauma. Your 15-year-old daughter. There's a boy.
Oh boy.
Right in front of her in her changing room where she's, putting her bathing suit on. It should never happen. Our girls should never have to experience that.
Agreed.
I agree. Yeah. And the problem with we'll have to see. I guess parents, if you're interested, or if you're upset about this, if you'd like to take some action, that would be go to your schools, go to your school board meetings, petition your school board and your schools not to contract with the MHSAA. Unless they get rid of this boy girl. It's silly me. I just don't, this should not be an issue.
It's
never in the history of ever has there ever been this issue until recently.
It was 10 minutes ago.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like, what happened?
The college rules are already in place. These kids many of them are working towards scholarships in
Right.
college. So they are aiming for a scholarship
Sure.
at a school
Sure.
that already has the executive orders rules in
Right.
place.
Right.
Why wouldn't we match that?
I don't know.
So be nice when you're interacting
Mhm.
with your school board. Do not be threatening. Be nice. Kindly ask them to,
Yeah.
Right.
petition MHSAA to change their rules
Right.
consistent with the
Yeah.
executive order.
You know, and I guess there's this big, and part of the reason for this podcast is to allow for some clearing of some nonsense. And one of the nonsense is that Republicans tend to be homophobic, and we have issues with all this stuff. And frankly, I don't think any of us have an issue with a boy that wants to dress like a girl or a girl that wants to dress like a boy. I mean, it is what it is, and it's their choice. And if they want to grow, they grow into it, they grow out of it. They want to do that in college. They want to change. That's their choice. But to force that in when you start
To make
getting
it
into
normal.
locker room, yes, or to get into locker rooms. And the response I got asking about it one day is, well, we don't want the boy who believes he's really should be a girl. We don't want him traumatized in the boys' locker room. And I said, what about the girls?
There are individual
How is
rooms
it that
for them
they're-
to change. There
Yeah.
are individual, but
Yeah.
there are two sexes and infinite personalities.
Right.
And that's fine.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Two
Sure,
sexes,
sure.
infinite personalities. Stop telling
Right.
a kid they were born in the wrong body. And
Yeah.
don't harm the majority for the sake of the one.
Agreed.
When there's a solution for all of it.
I just read all this stuff, and like I said, I'm so glad that my kids were not had to deal with this, and I've got grandkids now. They're going to be dealing with this soon. But the bathroom issue, you got boys and girls bathrooms. I mean, to me, you go there or you go there according to your biological pieces. So I mean, the only other option is take out the bathrooms that have 3 and 4 stalls and make individual door bathrooms. You got a lock, and one person goes in, and it doesn't matter what that one person is.
I
it
believe
just
that is
seems-
also an issue, but here the
Yep.
issue is
Right.
so much greater. It's not just
I
discomfort
get
with
it.
somebody in the next door stall. It's fully changing in front of
Right.
them. It's
Right.
the threat of trying to be in a safe space when you're not.
Right.
It's the impact. Boys have stronger bone
Yeah.
density.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah.
muscles get stronger
Sure.
with the exact same workout. Testosterone has an effect on a body in the womb
Mhm.
very early
Agreed.
on
Mhm.
and continues on, and there's no undoing it.
Mhm.
Ironically, MHSAA came before the Senate, before I was ever in it, and they were so proud of themselves for advocating against steroid usage for sports, for high school athletics, because it was a performance enhancing drug. So if steroid usage means that they're using performance enhancing drugs, then why are we allowing testosterone, a steroid, to be a part of girls' sports?
That's a good point. That's a very good point. And it just, I guess my point about the bathrooms, I guess that's where to me it started, and it just kind of bubbled from there. And it just, what's next? Where could
Like
it go
I said,
next?
These rules were 2013.
They're crazy.
It
Yeah.
was before any of us even knew.
Yeah.
We already have kids in 8th grade that can't read. We've got the 4th grade reading level is so dramatically
Mhm.
lower than it should be. We've really got to get back to some common sense education, the staples, and let's get our national averages back up again before we start introducing things that are so costly and cause so much tragedy while you're trying to implement them. I understand about the sake of a child and all that kind of
Sure.
deal, but from a dollars and cents standpoint, we're literally robbing Peter to pay Paul to make this thing happen. So we should get rid of it.
But your point about education is getting back to basics. That is absolutely imperative. So since COVID, there's one state that's gone up dramatically in their reading and math scores. All the other states have gone down. We've gone down faster than all of them. And you know what that state's
Wow.
doing?
Hmm.
The things that we did that the governor vetoed and that the Democrats have reversed. So read by grade 3,
Mhm.
Louisiana's doing it.
Mhm.
Scholarships, Louisiana's doing them. They're providing the kind of instruction that the kids need, and they specifically say they've gone back to basics. They're focusing on reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Mhm.
What a novel concept, right?
Crazy.
It's
Well, I know we're
amazing
sure
to
focusing
me,
on the wrong stuff now.
right? But we've done exactly the opposite since the Democrats have taken over. We've done exactly the opposite. They rolled back read by grade 3. They got rid of it altogether, actually. They're focusing on all kinds of DEI things that they don't need to be focusing on. Reading, writing, arithmetic. Let's focus on that. Let's get our kids up to speed on those things and then move ahead. But that's not where we're at right now, and it's extraordinarily frustrating.
Well, that's a great segue into where I was, another question I had for you. I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but that's okay. President Trump has had a whirlwind, beginning here. He's come out like he's come out swinging. He's not tap dancing on or tiptoeing along.
Whiplash.
I know.
This is great.
I know it's great. And he's upsetting. I mean, the equal and opposite reaction. The laws of physics they apply to politics too. But so we're getting some pretty strong reactions out there. But I mean, so all this stuff he's doing there, all these changes, all these executive orders, all these vetoing that I wake up every day and I look at the news and go, wow, he's still going. How is that trick? Can you education is what brought up, because he's talking about eliminating the Department of Education and throwing everything back into the states. And so if you touch on that, and then anything else that's kind of trickling down to us that he's doing that is worthy of.
So your point is actually well made. I was reading a post today, and the fellow started out with, I'm going to try to get this out fast enough to have it true as an update when I hit send, because everything's coming through so fast. All of the executive orders, all of the changes that are being made, he was having a difficult time keeping up with it. And I think that's true for anybody who's watching DC. We're used to government speed.
Yeah.
This is anything but that. Yeah. But as far as what's coming through, I have yet to meet someone on the right who's concerned about an audit. They want to see it audited. They absolutely are extraordinarily frustrated that their money is getting thrown into these places that are just so absurd. I typed on, I was going to post, like, you can't make this up. And I'm like, wait, somebody did. They actually thought through that and thought that was a reasonable place to spend money, and more likely it was just simply corrupt. And it's all of our tax dollars going there. So I'm excited about the difference that it can make once we get through. But now you're seeing the courts stopping them. Okay, well, the courts, there's these different parts of the government. You've got your legislative branch, you've got your executive branch, you've got your judicial branch, and the judicial branch does not get to tell what the executive job is supposed to look like. Now, there are limitations, obviously. Biden was held back by SCOTUS when he was busy trying to throw money at all the student loans. But that was way outside of his authority. When the executive is reading his own departments that he's in charge of and asking for, of all things, audits, the vast majority of the American people are fully supportive of that.
Gosh, yeah.
It's a wonderful place to be there. It's sitting on the 80% of this issue, going, yes, please find the money that is being spent in bad ways and save us. When I first got into the legislature, sorry, I'm going off topic.
No, it's okay.
When I first got into the legislature, I met with Dr. Arnn of Hillsdale College, and I asked him, how do you roll back the bureaucratic state? And there was a long pause. And then he discussed the possibilities for doing it, but every single one of them involved a significant amount of time and maintaining Republican control of the legislature as it's going through. We were speaking of both the state level and the federal level, but maintaining control over a significant period of time and scaling it back. Well, they're just going through with, it's not even a surgical knife. It's more like the chainsaw.
Yep.
And I do have concerns that government does have its rightful purpose. And the people who are doing the rightful things should be there doing the rightful things. And I want the people who are in place right now to be free to find who those people are and get that done. Right. But it's going to be messy. The process is going to be messy.
Right. My worry in this whole thing is that the chainsaw cuts the good nerves along with the bad, or the good trees along with the bad. And you've got a department, and the department is doing a whole bunch of wrong things and some right. I'd hate to see all the right things go out get flushed along with the bad. I'm hoping that he's cherry picking some of those out of there and either putting them in a different department or allowing it still to function, because they're not wholly bad, even if they have a whole bunch wrong.
What he did with X was reduce the staff by 85%,
Sure.
and increase its output.
Mm-hmm.
So I trust that he can do that if he's allowed to.
Okay.
But he's not doing it unchecked. The president was absolutely elected to do this. Everybody claims that Elon is unelected. Well, he was literally on the stage with Trump, jumping up and down next to Trump, as they were saying that this is exactly what they were going to do. So
auditors aren't elected, so I mean, who cares?
Well, the bureaucratic state is not elected. The million people who are sitting in the bureaucratic state who are busy trying to undermine all this, they're not elected, and they're sending $59 million checks to hotels in New York to house illegal migrants.
Well, and the other thing they're doing is the same people that
makes me mad.
It does.
I don't get to stay in those hotels.
The same people that are complaining that
I paid for that.
Same people that are complaining Elon Musk was unelected and has got authority were the ones that supported Fauci shut down the whole country. So I don't want to hear about unelected people having power.
So if you remember, during COVID, Gretchen Whitmer shut us down.
Sure.
The legislature refused to support her in that after a significant period of time. It went to court. We proved that she had overstepped her authority, and then turn around, the DHHS director locked us back down again. So a bureaucratic, unelected director shut us back down. And in all of the
she went around the back door quickly there. So
she absolutely did. But to your question, you asked about the Department of Education at the federal level. As long as the money is getting to the states and being spent in a proper way, even Betsy DeVos, who was head of the Department of Education the last time, she had a plan for getting rid of the Department of Education. If what they're doing is inserting non-educational things in everything that they're trying to do, it's not helpful. And it's not hard to teach a kid well. If you want to have some fun, look at the 5th grade readers. Actually, it was the elementary school readers from the 17 and 1800s. And I dare you to do the mental math in that book without a calculator.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you think that's going to work? Let's say the Department of Ed is wiped out and then we end up with the Michigan Department of Ed in control. Is that better or worse? I mean, I know that makeup.
Just a second. Bob Kittredge says that's a lot of jelly donuts.
Yes, it is.
Yes, Bob, a lot of jelly donuts.
I think Michigan is going to have difficulty because I don't think that the Michigan Department of Education is doing a particularly good job either. But I think it'll give the opportunity for the kids in the other 49 states to have a chance where they don't right now. And so we're trying to move in the right direction. And once our state sees what happens in the other states, maybe they'll push to have our state do that too.
And maybe in 2026 we have a change at the top, and that can flip some things around. Yes. So any other things, any other executive orders that you see trickling down to us that we should be thinking about or looking forward to? Or
there's only like 400 of them.
I know. Just
pick
a couple. Any two.
The plastic straws, I think, was a big one.
Oh yeah.
The Gulf of America.
Yeah.
Okay, there are a few things.
Gulf of America Day. Yeah.
There were a few things that weren't my highest priority, but getting DEI out of literally everything. What an incredible gift that is.
That is.
And they're spending, if you look at the different colleges, they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on the salaries for these people. They have multiple people supposedly doing this stuff. And what they end up doing in the tail end is creating more difficulty between the races, not less. And that's frustrating. What we need to be doing is coming together, not teaching people how to be apart and how to hate each other. And that's basically what I see DEI doing. So that the DEI stuff is one of my favorites. But for Michigan, the most important thing right now, I think, is the ESTA, the Earned Sick Time Act.
Yep. Look at that. That was next on my list. We were just segueing right now. It goes into effect February 21st.
Okay. So 10 days from now.
Right.
And
for anybody that's unsure, can you give me a nutshell explanation of what that is?
So what happened? It's a little bit of a story. In 2018, there was a ballot question that was going to, per the polling, pass that dealt with having tipped wage workers go to minimum wage rather than tipped wages.
Okay.
And then have businesses, including small business, have to provide earned sick time.
Okay.
All right. So interesting concept. Let's look at it, see what it's supposed to do. Well, the polling said it was going to pass. So what the legislature did was what's allowed under Michigan law. They adopted it, and you have to adopt it word for word. And then it became statute. And lo and behold, when you have statute, you can amend it as many times as you want during a particular session. That's allowable. Now, I was very cautious because I hated what was in the ESTA. We're just going to call it ESTA. I hated what was in it, so I didn't want to vote for it. But I was told that this was the only option because it was absolutely going to pass. I haven't met anybody in the know to whom this affects that believed that it wouldn't have passed if it had gone to the ballot.
Okay, you did what you had to do.
If it went to the ballot, it would have taken a super majority to overturn.
Right.
As statute, it takes a simple majority.
That's right.
So that's what we did. We adopted it and we amended it.
It's tweakable now. If it would have passed, it would have been in the Constitution. End of story.
Sure.
It would have been extraordinarily difficult
Very
to change.
difficult.
So what happened, God bless the House, and the Republican majority in the House, is they first two bills of the session, 4001, 4002, they addressed this. They fixed it. And it's a very common sense, reasonable fix. It's not hard right. It's very center, enough to make me uncomfortable. Frankly, it's not exactly what I would have liked to have, but it's way better than going to where we're going right now. They passed it. They passed it almost unanimous coming out of committee and in a very bipartisan fashion coming out off the session floor and sent it to the House Regulatory Affairs Committee. Or the Senate Regulatory Affairs Committee. So what the Senate did was sit on it for 6 months. They've introduced their own bills that just have small businesses dying slower, but not much slower than what's currently in place. So what the Hotel and Restaurant Association said is we're going to lose probably 20% of our restaurants when this goes into effect on the 21st of this month.
Wow.
Their employee costs are going to go up by 250%.
Oh.
Now, keep in mind that these locations are clinging by their fingernails because they were shut down for COVID.
Agreed.
They're just barely trying.
They're digging their way out of that hole. Yeah.
Almost 100% of them said they're going to have to raise menu prices, 94%. So they're going to have to raise menu prices as a result of this. Yeah. And 2/3 of them said they're going to have to lay off employees also. So this is just devastating. So what the Republicans in the Senate have been saying for the last 6 months is let's address this, let's fix it. We saw what came over in the House. The House is great. Let's just pass this. Last week in committee, Senator Houck moved to move those out of committee and onto the Senate floor, and every Democrat voted against that. So they're not interested in a fix. I don't know who they're playing to for this, but this is not helpful.
Do you think they're using this as a hammer for the budget?
No.
The budget argument?
No.
Are they going to use that? Are they going to use that to horse trade for something else?
I don't understand. Small businesses come to me that have been voting Democrat their whole lives, and they can't believe what's going on right now, and they know they're going to lose everything, and they're Democrat senators and representatives, mostly the senators right now are the ones I'm hearing from. They're not listening to them. And what the governor has said and what some of these senators have said is we're just going to pass it and we're going to see how it works out. And then if there's a problem, we'll change it later.
Define if there's a problem. I mean, how many businesses have to go
under before you constituents have already told you there's going to be a problem.
Shut down 20% of your restaurants. You don't open them back up the next week because, we made a mistake.
Whoops.
Yeah, so those in Michigan, that's the major issue that we're dealing with right now.
Well, then you have tipped wages in that mess too.
You know, we already lost so many restaurants due to the COVID shutdown.
And employee shortage.
Oh yeah, it's just astronomical. Yeah.
So then we have tipped wages, and that's coming along as well.
It's all those two are part of the same. Okay. They're not the same bill, but they're traveling together.
The same thing. Yeah. Okay. So wow.
And that's so frustrating because I was talking to a restaurant owner. She said most of her waitresses, most of her wait staff were single. The women were usually single moms, and they made in excess of $30 an hour every night, and they worked the hours they wanted to work.
Sure.
And this particular person also she's bought homes in the neighborhood because she had a hard time getting people that could live there. And so part of what she does is subsidize their housing. She owns the homes and rents to them. And so if they get laid off, they're losing their house
boy. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
and their job, and most of them are single moms.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're thinking.
If it weren't for waitressing, one of my daughters, she couldn't have made herself a better life.
Oh.
I mean, it was a staple for her, you know, to get the money that she needed to actually have a living wage.
When
And
I was,
she
I
worked
was a
for
single
it.
mom. I was a waitress.
Yeah.
It helped me get back into school and
Yeah.
everything else. And I could work early mornings and, you know, breakfasts and
And
yeah,
more
that
hours
was,
if you needed more cash.
that's right. That's
Yep.
right.
Okay,
So it
I'm
worked.
feeling down now. Do you have any good news?
Yeah, she's gonna make eggs cheaper. What you got
Nice.
going on eggs?
Yes.
Talk about eggs. Let's talk. You know, and really, and these two topics are really close to. I mean, the price of eggs that hits everybody. I don't know anybody that doesn't buy eggs.
It's the
Jay
new toilet paper.
Jay went.
Yeah.
Jay went shopping today, and he said the only way to buy eggs was this giant container for like, you know, $50 or 50 eggs for $25
Yeah.
or some stupid thing.
Yeah.
He says, I'm not buying that many eggs. So
It's insane. So
It is.
in fairness to the industry, the biggest issue they have right now is the bird flu. And that's the government's response to the bird flu is creating a scenario where they have to kill their entire flock if some of their birds are positive. So that's
is the bird flu fatal? I mean,
it is to some birds.
Okay.
So that's the issue. That's the issue that's begun.
Okay.
But it's exacerbated by this crazy cage-free law that was originally put into place. It was another ballot question threat back in 2009.
Mhm.
The Humane Society wanted the chickens to be cage-free, and they were going to be happy and live good lives. And so they were threatening to put that on the ballot. Well, the producers and the sellers started contracting with cage-free organizations in order to get past that, I think. Now, this is before my time, but that's my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2009, that bill went into effect. By 2019, it was about to hit, and the industry asked us for more time. And so one of the senators on the Republican side of the fence introduced a bill to extend the time frame out. Who would know that it would hit at such a bad economic time? But that's what he did. And the big suppliers, they're fine. They complied a long time ago. This wasn't an issue for them. But the smaller ones and the ones who want to get into the market, who would come into a market where they're getting paid more for the eggs, this is prohibitive. So what my bill does is just end the cage-free mandate altogether. What we've seen actually is that states that have the cage-free laws actually have bigger issues with bird flu than states that don't.
Oh.
So
which makes sense.
Does that mean that I can go to Indiana and I can buy a bootleg dozen of eggs?
I know people who are, but what can't happen is Kroger can't do that. Our law prohibits them from going out of state.
So viewers, come see me. I'm gonna do a run.
I'm
not gonna say exactly on what. I'm gonna do a run. Murphy, if you're watching, just forget what I said. Okay.
Nobody heard the
All
words duty free.
Yeah. Nothing like that. No, didn't say that. Deb said that.
No. All right. So, so what other stuff is going on down there, Lindsay? What do you see? You have things that you maybe see some common ground on, and then what do you think is going to be the big fight besides this?
So it's going to be
restaurant
the
stuff.
Same thing, the budget.
The budget, okay.
So we've got the governor coming up with magic money to fix the dang roads.
Oh, that's on my list too. Yeah,
but it's amazing. So we had a $9 billion fund
surplus. Yeah.
And not only did she spend that, but she put us in debt $3.5 billion for the roads, and now she wants to raise taxes. If you remember when she first came in, her first idea was a 45-cent gas tax increase.
Yes,
remember how much we all love that?
Yes.
Nobody,
yeah.
Literally nobody. But she's come through and found a way to spend all that money and put us $3.5 billion in debt more, and now needs a tax increase. And you know who she's going to tax? The very same people who are dealing with this ESTA and wages issue. 85% of them are under the corporate income tax. Like with that increase, it's going to hit 85% of those people that will receive the increase are small businesses.
Wow. I need to go back to eggs just for real quick. We've got a couple of our viewers. Bill says that eggs are the new bling. And Kelly says she has claim to Ohio. We will see. We will see. Yeah.
Yeah, Ron Gallard's Ron Gallard designates you to have his deli donuts, but he's gonna make eggs for dinner tonight.
Oh, nice.
I actually had
That's
eggs for dinner tonight.
That's like better than steak now.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It's probably cheaper.
Don't put that bunny seasoning on the egg. Though. All right, so okay, well, so the budget's going to be a big fight. So,
Yes.
so the damn roads are not fixed, and the damn money's gone. So we have to figure out. You guys have to fight that one out. So I guess the nice thing is you've got the Republican holdout in the
Yes.
in the House, which means it's not so greased anymore.
Yeah.
The train will still run over the Republicans in the Senate,
Sure,
but it doesn't have a station to land on because
That's
of
right.
the House.
That's
So
right.
God bless the
God
House.
bless that
God
House.
bless the
That's right.
Republican majority.
That's
It
right.
really does
Yeah.
make a difference. And Matt Hall has a strong backbone and is willing to use it. So
good.
Good
it's
for
going to
him.
be an
Good for
interesting
him.
conversation that will be had at those meetings.
Well, we have in Livingston County, one of the, I'm in paying attention to what's going on in the townships. We have the solar and the windmill is mostly solar here. And we have the solar and the law that basically that, everybody's suing now for, giving Lansing control on where this stuff goes and not local control. But we have a lot of that going on. What's going on there? What can you tell us about the
Well, first off, it's stupid.
there
I'm just
There
gonna
you have it.
actually, there you have it.
Stupid.
It's stupid.
I don't know what else we need to be said.
I actually have a bill that would prohibit state lands from going for that sort of thing. The idea
Okay.
that you would plow down a forest in order to put up solar panels is so patently absurd on its face.
Yeah.
I want to know where they're making up the carbon credits when they do
You know
that.
what trees do? They take in CO2. Like,
do.
why would you cut down something that takes
right.
in CO2
That's right.
to put up a solar panel so that you can save on the CO2? It's just absurd.
No.
It doesn't math right. Like
No.
the math doesn't work. When you're trying to bring in new businesses and data centers, they use huge amounts of energy, huge amounts of it. And that can't be provided by the solar panels. It can't be provided by the wind turbines. It has to be provided by fossil fuels. And so the idea that we're going to be able to do this with the solar panels and the wind turbines is absurd. If you got to pick one.
Sure.
If you want AI, if you want data centers, you need energy, and you can't get it through the solar panels. So what I would like to see, like I said, I've got a bill that prohibits them from cutting down our state forests for it. But what I would like to see is a requirement that the energy that's going into the grid, if we're going to go green, okay, but it has to be as reliable as what we currently have.
Mm-hmm.
Our grid is not reliable. We need more, not less reliability.
No, I remember.
So if you're going to, if you're company A and you want to do some sort of new innovative type of energy, great, go ahead, do it. But it has to be at least as reliable as what's currently on the grid.
Sure.
And we'll count that as green. So what happens is there's some of it is green that's going in, and some of it is fossil fuel that's going in. And what our current energy providers allow you to do is say, well, I'm only using the green part. I'll pay you extra so that I get the green part, and then I can claim to be totally green. But that's not how it works.
No,
That's not how energy works.
No.
So I would like some transparency in that.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to buy carbon credits, okay, that's up to you. That's great. If you want to pay for our trees for the state, pay us extra. That's great. The trees really do suck up the carbon CO2. They do. That's true. So I'm fine with that. But if we just need to be honest about it.
Right.
And I want my constituents, I want our state to have an absolutely reliable grid that doesn't cost obscene amounts of money for unreliable energy.
Mm-hmm.
And the more green we're going, the more unreliable we're getting. And that's ridiculous. If somebody wants to buy their solar panels and go off the grid, and that's fine. The other thing that's a major issue with these is when they are decommissioned. I specifically asked one of the solar panel companies, okay, so you're taking over farmland. When you decommission it, what does that end up looking like?
Mm-hmm.
And like, is the farmland safe for farming? It's what you're telling me after 20 years, they'll be able to go right back to farming, right? Well, they said, we've never decommissioned one, so we really don't know.
Oh.
And so I said, well, what happens after like a hailstorm?
Oh.
We don't know.
Well, There haven't been any. That's literally what they told me. So I went looking, and you can see fields of wind turbine blades that are being plowed over in Texas because those blades go bad. You can see fields of solar panels that are mashed to pieces because of hailstorms, because hailstorms happen and the solar panels break.
Right.
The solar panels are filled with toxic material.
Yep.
So I want transparency on that toxic
There you
material as
go.
well. Where are these used up pieces going, and where does that toxicity go? Because if we're going to call it green, let's be honest.
Yeah.
You know, Jay, Marion Township went through a year or 2 years, something like that ago, where they were considering it, and they had a big hoopla meeting. And Jay went to speak at the meeting, and he just didn't advise yes or no. But what he basically said was, look, as a civil attorney, here's some things you need to know. You need to be able to figure out what's going to happen when that company decides it's done with you, files bankruptcy, and gets out. And you're stuck with all this stuff that is toxic and you have to get rid of. Yeah. And so I guess, I mean, what do? Do you ask for a great big cash settlement from them in a escrow somewhere or in a trust somewhere? So if they do leave, that at least you have money to deal with it. I don't know, but it's difficult. I mean,
they should require that they maintain a bond that's sufficient to take it back to its natural state.
That would be the only way. But boy, this is they're on it's like a lick and a promise. You know, they're not well thought through. They don't have the answers. I guess they've got the we always, you know, when we raised our kids, we always told us, don't ever make a plan and figure nothing's going to go wrong. You know, that's how you get in trouble in life. And this is just.
Well, you know, we were also taught that if it sounds too good to be true, it is. But if for some reason we have amnesia about that these days, it's really, really wild.
Yeah. So, well, let me ask this. And I've been asking my questions, and so anybody watching us right now, if you've got a question, put it in the Facebook. Right now, I've got Kelly Powell, who says, what are the chances of us taking back the state Senate?
Fantastic. I believe they're absolutely right. I'm excited about it. I wish I could still be there. But from what I see right now, the Democrats are doing everything wrong. They're fully embracing the 20% of the 80-20 issues, and they're literally doubling and tripling down on it. And the Republicans are we're just on the right side of history on this. And so making sure that we let people know that, and we continue to fight for our folks, we should be able to get that back.
Awesome.
Cool. A couple of kudos out to you there, Lana. Dave over in Berrien County says he loves you.
Thank you.
We've got Bob over there, and Bob's down south right now, and he says great information. Appreciates the combo.
Thank you, Bob. Miss you.
Yeah. We also have Bill Reiber's talking about Genoa has an ordinance that decommissioned equipment must be cleaned up within a year after cessation of activity. Well, Bill, that's the good ordinance to have. But I guess the question is, and this is what Jay's point was, what happens when they decide they're done and they file bankruptcy? What's your recourse?
ABC Court.
Yeah. So you can't sue them. There's nothing there. They're out of there. They completely closed shop, and now you're stuck with a bunch of stuff. So I think Senator Theis had the right idea about having a bond in advance, so that there's and it has to be completely cleaned and pass whatever standards you set up in the beginning. The water test must be okay. You can't leave anything broken, and then they get their whatever. So we have Ron Gillard. He agrees with you 100% that the Republicans are on the right side of history.
Thank you.
And
so we will win the Senate back.
So I just want to be clear. I think that local control should be had. I don't believe the state should be telling us where the solar panels are going to go. I believe that should be local control. But I also believe that we need to be honest about what the energy production will look like, what the cleanup will look like, and hold them accountable.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So yeah, well, I'll see. Whitler, Whitmer, I don't know if that was intentional or not. And the DNR want to put in solar panels on 4,000 acres on state land in Roscommon County.
I know.
Where he's moving to.
Oh, but.
Well, that's what you get for leaving Livingston County.
That's what my bill would prohibit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dale, I think that was kiboshed, wasn't it? I mean, wasn't there a stay on that or something?
Yeah, but there was so the business that was going to do it received all this blowback.
Yeah.
And decided they pulled out of it. That doesn't mean that another business won't come in.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that the DNR has had a bit of a change of heart. So that's my understanding.
Well,
that's
good,
not a guarantee, and don't let up.
Good.
By all means, let people know what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, all right, we want to go to another commercial here.
Yep. Sounds good. Sounds good. I will.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And before we go, thank you to Senator Theis for coming and being our kickoff speaker here, our kickoff guest.
Thank you so much.
And you've done a great job. Everybody well
Appreciate
received.
the
So
opportunity.
we thank you again for coming. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, hello, we're back. Well, that was a great session with Senator Theis, and she gave us. It's really interesting to see what how the federal stuff trickles down to us, and some of that stuff is just the fights that the high school associations giving to the boys and girls back, that just shouldn't, or the sports, that just shouldn't happen. This should not be a fight. Why is this a fight? I don't understand. So boys, there's just biological differences between the two, and why they're doing that, I don't know. And I wonder, she said, she made an interesting point that kind of gave me a question, Senator Theis did, and that was, she said this happened quite a while ago, and I wondered if that didn't initially open the door for girls to compete in sports that girls didn't have sports for. Sort of like, growing up, I was a little tomboy, and I played softball, and I played basketball, and I played volleyball, and I, jumped bikes on things. And, there was a group of girls and boys that, a few girls that were tomboys, and we did, we hung out with the boys playing sports when we were young. And, I was not allowed to play on the team with the boys, but the coach felt sorry for us, and plus we were fairly good, so he let us practice, but we weren't allowed to play on the team. And then eventually they started allowing girls. So I kind of wonder if it didn't start off with the notion that there were no girls, whatever, golf team, and the girl wanted to play, so they set it up so the girl could play if there was nothing else, and it sort of got blown up from there. Yeah. Other than that,
I don't know where it came from either. All I know is we need to get it back to some common sense.
We sure do.
Things that make sense. Let's get the kids back into the staples.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I'm seeing the reports where the Michigan test scores are the worst ever.
Yeah.
And we are so far down, and that just hurts. that just hurts.
Here's the deal.
Because these are our children, you know.
We talk about having opportunities and making and creating new opportunities for our kids, but if we can't give them the basic education that we started out life with,
agreed.
Where are they going to be?
Yeah, and I mean, basic math and basic reading, everything else kind of balances on that. If you don't have that, you're going to struggle with everything. So, and sitting in front of sitting in front of a computer or a phone, just, playing video games is, and unfortunately, I think that's taken over as a pastime rather than reading books or whatever. Jay Drick says he loves the 2A commercial. That's because there was a good picture of you in there with Rob. You're not fooling anybody. Big old smile on your face there. All right. Just want to talk about a little bit about some of the stuff we've got coming. Again, we've got the February 12th tomorrow night at 6 p.m. at the American Legion 141. We have Brandon Bearfield's going to talk about procedure for the delegates, or I'm sorry, for the convention. And then we're going to talk about kind of leadership skills with the chair. And then we're going to meet those chairs and maybe some of the vice chairs or vice chair candidates anyway. And you get to ask questions. So
that's pretty nifty.
I think so.
This is new. We've never done this before. I've never heard of a county actually doing anything like this.
Yeah.
You're not nicknaming it. You're just calling it exactly like it is.
Nope.
Maybe you don't know what you're doing. You're about ready to go to state convention and you'd like to enter into it and have some idea of what's going on. Brandon Bearfield knows every single thing. If he doesn't, he'll pay each one of you $20. Positive on that. You think he's gonna read? Do you think he's watching?
You may not be watching live, but he's gonna watch this. He's gonna watch the rerun. I have no doubt.
But he's very knowledgeable.
Yes, he's gonna do a great job. He does a great. He's very entertaining and he's very informative. So he's gonna do a good job. And we'll have just an open discussion. But you get to meet those candidates too. So then we have our monthly things. I'm quickly filling up all our Thursdays. So here's our Thursdays for the month from now on. Our first Thursday is the EC meeting. Now we've changed that for anybody who hasn't been. We changed that so the actual EC voting on the issues happens from 7 to 7:30. That's just a small part of that long meeting. So we're just getting that business out of the way, and then we're closing that meeting, and then it's more of an informal meeting where you get to get legislative updates, you get to meet new members. We're going to structure that a little differently next time. I'm going to have an agenda for that as well. I kind of wanted to wing it, see how it went. So I decided winging it wasn't a good idea. So we're gonna put an agenda to that.
That's the thing about winging it.
That's the thing about winging it. Yeah.
Super awesome or super
bad.
Well,
you learn either what you should do from then on, or you should learn what you shouldn't do. So either way, it's a lesson. So it wasn't a waste of time. It was terrific. So we got a lot of good information. It was a great meeting. But we'll have invite some new members. So that'll be the first of the month, first Thursday of the month. Second Thursday, we're going to from now on, starting in March, is going to be called Workshop Thursday. Oh. And we're going to have different trainings, discussions / workshops, I guess, and discussions where we're going to pick a topic. I know I intended to have a workshop 2 days from now because of the weather. I'm canceling it. It is called From Conflict to Collaboration, and I taught Leadership Livingston for Cleary University and for 27 years, and that was by far the most popular, most well-liked workshop I did there.
Well, why are you canceling it?
Because of the snow.
Oh, okay.
There's a conflict.
Yeah, that's a big conflict.
Yeah, so so we're going to do that probably in March, maybe April, but I'm going to have different topics for different people. I mean, sometimes everybody's going to like it, sometimes only some. I know I want to, I'm going to do a workshop soon. This is the first time I'm saying this. I'm going to do a workshop soon called, Now You're Elected, How Do You Govern? How do you govern according to your Republican principles without causing problems? I'm hearing, I guess, because I get a lot of calls from the candidates I help, I'm hearing of issues where it's difficult to make the step they want to make. And so let me help. I'm going to have a workshop for elected officials, especially new elected officials, but existing and longtime existing are welcome to come too, and maybe help share their experiences on how to make those tough decisions, how to make those tough calls. They're not always easy to do. It sounded great when you were running. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And you get there and you think, oh, wow, now I got to do this. And it's a different, but it can be done. There's just certain things you need to have in place. So we're going to kind of give you some of those ideas and those the ideas and the tips and the tricks. And we'll bring in some longtime elected officials that can kind of tell you how to navigate that kind of stuff.
I love it when Livingston County established leaders are coming in and adding their equity into things. All together, we're smarter.
Everybody. And some of those leaders have come to the workshops and said, wow, I never thought about it that way. So it's working for everybody. It's helping. So the third Thursday every month is the delegate meeting. That's where Sharon Lalio and Connie Robinson and Marcia Dix will put on they have a starting in March. They gave up February because we're doing our training tomorrow, but starting in March, the third Thursday, they're going to be here at the Victory Center, and they're going to do the relationship building informational trainings and workshops that will help the delegates as they go along. And I know we heard from many delegates that they were frustrated because they were asked to be a delegate, and then they were told, come to a convention, here's a list, vote for these people. But then they felt abandoned. They felt like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know anybody. No, we don't want that. We want people informed. Tomorrow, our event for the delegates will be, we're not going to tell anybody who to vote for. That's your choice. That's why you were elected. You were elected to represent your precinct. So we're just going to kind of say, here's some things you might want to think about as you're making your choice. Whatever your choice is, that's nothing that's going to be asked. But these Sharon and Connie and Marcia are dedicated to the delegates in our county, and
they're smart cookies.
They're smart. They've been there. They know what they're doing. They've been around.
Yeah.
So they're also not telling anybody what to do or how to think. They're basically saying, here are things, here are resources, here are events, here are opportunities for delegates to get involved. Meeting their elected officials. It's terrific. So that's the third Thursdays, and the fourth Thursdays are something we just started last month, which is the fourth Thursday social. And
how's that going?
The first one was a bang up.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to LCRP member Pam Atkins, who puts this together, and she picks the places and where we're going, and she talks to the owners. And we got Aubrey's for March, and I believe we have Grand River Brewery, I believe, on Brighton on April, and then I think we're at Zuki Lake in March or May. No, April, then May. Yes, in May. So we've got the next February, March, April. That's how it goes. February, March, April. And then she's got some other place now that has come back and told her May's okay. So she's just tightening that up. But so we're good. We've got the next 3 or 4 planned. But Aubrey's on February 27th, which is the 4th, at 6:00 we go for dinner. And at 6:00 we go for dinner, and 7 to 9 we just have cocktails or pop or whatever it is. And so that we'll be able to it's a great way for new members to come, and especially the fourth Thursday, because a new member comes. Hopefully, if I know the new member's coming, so if you're a new member and you're watching, or you want to be a member, if you just let us know, and the email to let me know that you want to come, for anybody that you're going to come to these meetings, the fourth Thursday is chair@Livingston Republicans, plural with an S, LivingstonRepublicans.com. Send me an email. Tell me you're a new member and you want to come to the social. Tell me where you live, and not necessarily your address. I'm not going to stalk you, but I just need to know kind of, are you in Brighton Township or, precinct, whatever. That's good. And then I can make sure I invite your commissioner. I can invite your township supervisor, or your
There you go.
township trustees, or your school board members, or all of them. And, you'll get an idea of you get to meet them and discuss whatever issues are happening in your area, your specific area. So that's the fourth Thursday of every month. We also want to give a shout out to Spencer Good, who is our youth chair. Spencer is doing something kind of cool. He is, as our youth chair, his job to get kind of the teenage group in and talking about being Republicans and what does Republican means. He is going to put on a statewide Zoom on the 19th that will introduce and allow anybody across the state to he's going to have all four of the Michigan Republican Party youth chair candidates there. So he'll host a Zoom. He'll moderate it. He'll ask some questions. We'll take some questions such as we're asking here. So that's going to be on and that information will be on the Livingston County Republican page, Facebook page, so you can check it out there, and the link will be there. And I believe we'll have an email sent out too right before, so you'll have that kind of stuff. So
kudos to Spencer for
taking that on.
Great idea.
Yep. So we're looking forward to that on the 19th. On another youth-related note, any member or Republican that sees this or whatnot is encouraged. If you have teenage kids, we're looking to kind of start that Young Republicans Club back up, and Spencer's going to work with them. So we'd love to have your son, your daughter come and meet with Spencer, and we'd like to get several of them together. Particularly, I mean, for me, I feel like the key thing here in Livingston County is 16 to 18 year olds, 15 to 18 year olds, get the teenagers together. So then when they go off to college, now that's they have a college Republican, or they can stay kind of with a college clique, but it sort of gives them a base that maybe when they try to indoctrinate them in college, it's
Deb, before Spencer came in, you and I were the youngest people in the Livingston Party. So real happy to see Spencer join up, and we need the young blood.
We do.
We need the young blood, not just because I can't carry the heavy stuff anymore. It's because we need a future for the party. We stay stronger with that youth. So we got to engage all of our youth, and any parents out there, if you have youth, right now you can order them around, but as soon as they turn 18, you can't. So let's get them in here. Let's get them with Spencer. Let's make sure that Republican values continue to exist.
Yep. And look at President Trump's victory. Look at the youth that were activated. This was huge. So this is planning for our future as well, for your kids' future. So you can reach out to me, chair at livingstonrepublicans.com, or you can reach right out to Spencer, youth chair at livingstonrepublicans.com. Send him your questions. Send him your kids wanna call him or I'm sorry, email him and get in touch with him. He's working real hard to put that together. So the next thing I guess I have is the convention. Our convention's February 21st and 22nd. At that convention, we will elect a 7th district chair. I believe there's only one candidate at this time. It's
who are we going to vote for?
Yeah, Dan Schiffko is the only candidate this time. However, the thing about this stuff is, you never know what's going to happen. So anyway, so he's our Friday night vote for the 7th district, and then he'll be replacing the shocker, retiring Dan Wolahan, who's been.
Those newly married guys, that's what happens.
But Dan, their brain just leaves.
Shout out to Dan Wolahan. You have done an incredible service to this county. We really appreciate everything you've done for me personally, for Deb, just for the party in general. So kudos to Dan.
Dan's been an officer of some sort for about 1,100 years now. So it's
6 million years.
He's not going to know what to do with his time. So it's going to be interesting.
He's not going away. We won't let him.
No, we'll see what happens. So that's February 21st, and then 22nd is obviously the vote for the chair, and there's also the other, the minority vice, whatever, all those other secondary things, but the real showstopper is the chair. Because it's in Detroit and because it's in February and we don't know what the weather's going to be like, there are blocks of hotels, and yes, they're expensive. They're right there by Huntington. They're like $200 a night, but it's not bad if you split it with somebody, and it's also half of what it's normally. So
can I get FEMA to pay for it?
Yeah, they'll give you a tent.
Yeah, they will.
Give you and your tent.
Yeah, they will.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we can have even if you don't stay right there at those hotels, there's hotels that aren't too far that are reasonable price. Even if you have to drive 20 minutes, it sure beats driving all the way home Friday night and then back, because I think the convention, which normally starts at 10, actually scheduled to start at 9 on Saturday. So I don't know how they're doing that, because I know the rules say 10. So,
but it's real important for anybody who hasn't gone to a convention before to come to the meeting tomorrow.
Yes.
To get just the basic understanding. That way you don't have that crazed look like you're behind the 8 ball. You have no idea what's going on. And that sucks the fun out of the convention. This is an honor.
That's right.
And a wonderful honor for you to represent your county. It doesn't need to be tarnished with you being terrified, not knowing what you're going to do at the convention.
That's right. And it's even the event tomorrow, even if you have gone, please come anyway, because we can always use you. I mean, you can always kind of give us your thoughts, give us your experiences.
Equity again.
Yeah. I mean, Dan Woolahan has stories that, I think we're going to make him go last, because he has stories that can go on forever, from running these things. So anyway, we can, so come share your, if you have done it before, come share your experiences. If you haven't, come learn what you should know. You're going to be in much better shape. I remember going to my first convention. Nobody offered me the class. I would have taken it. And I just walked around not knowing where to be. I had to rely on other people to tell me where to go, what to expect, what was next, what was this problem. So this stuff will all get explained. And like I said, Brandon's not a long, drawn out, dull speaker. He's very entertaining. He's very engaging. So it'll be a good thing. So, all right. Well, you got anything more?
That's it. This is our first show. What do you think? I mean, people, we need to hear your comments after this is all done. Obviously, this is going to continue to replay.
Sure.
And we'll see quite a bit of traction, we're hoping, from a lot of areas, but from you, the viewers, the easiest way and the cheapest way that you can help us promote this show is just to share it.
Yep.
Everything's public, so all you have to do is press that share button, and you're not responsible for the comments that might happen on it. But what we want to do is we want to spread the word throughout Livingston County, and you know what? Maybe this will be catchy. Maybe you just created something that every chair and every county decides to do.
Yep.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
That would be wonderful. I'm certainly hoping this really does what I'm hoping it'll do. I also think I also want to put a plug out for anybody that's not a member, that's thinking about becoming a member. We really are looking forward to your membership. We'd love to have you. You can see what we're doing. If you were a member before and left, we welcome you back. If you're not a member and you want to, we welcome you in. You'll find friends. You'll find like-minded people. We are active. We're doing more and more things every single month. I love when either a new member or a executive committee member or an elected official calls me or meets with me and says, "Hey, Deb, do you ever think about doing this?" And I just start vibrating. Okay, what are we gonna do? What's new? A new idea. So it very much like this podcast. That was somebody else's idea, and all I did was say, absolutely, Yarber. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we're gonna all kudos to her. So
now, are you gonna have another show?
We're getting to that. Anyway, get to that. So you can see along that little ticker tape underneath there, the LivingstonCountyRepublicans.com /join. Right there. Yeah. Wait, no. Wait, right there it is. Okay, yes. So become a member. Join our club. There's various different rates. Go the best one you can, but understand that what we get from our members comes ideas, it comes ideas, it comes fellowship, it comes events, it comes all kinds of stuff. So we definitely, we want you. I mean, we not want you to use you. We want you because you'll enjoy it. I promise you'll enjoy it. So
yes.
Next week, we had a
Who you having?
we have the Notorious right now. Wes Nakagiri. He's going to come and he's going to tell us that. And remember, this podcast was created to allow Republicans to talk about what really happened versus what was reported or what was complained about or whined about or whatnot. So Wes will be here and he will talk about this Sage situation that happened that has been blown so far out of proportion. It's not funny, but he's going to talk about the Sage situation, and he's done a study that he's been talking to me about, and I'm really looking forward to it. And with a study, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but some surprising results. So looking forward to having Wes.
Sweet.
Next week. So 7 o'clock next week.
7 o'clock.
Please join our membership. Please share this podcast, and we'll see you next week.
Take care, everyone. Bye.